What up, guys? Welcome to the Jiu-Jitsu podcast. Today's podcast, we have a guest with us, a young kid. He's not a kid. He's a damn adult. He's almost 30. But I guess the first time I came across him was with Chad. And Chad, like, it's that old person thing when you meet someone for the first time. Like my baby sister, she's in her 20s now. She's getting older, right? But she's 8 to me.
Yeah,
she will always be like 8 years old. Doesn't matter. It's my baby sister, right?
Right. You even call your baby sister. She's not a baby anymore.
She isn't, but that's what I'm gonna call her. But like she's 8.
Yeah.
Yeah. She got married out in Hawaii and everything else.
Yeah.
But she's 8.
Yeah.
But anyway, so with Elijah, I met him, I saw him years ago, and then I've met him a couple times, seen him a couple times, and I watched him compete at several tournaments, and even had the chance to grapple with him and see him compete here in Louisville when they did a tournament. And super, super skilled, fun guy to watch, goes for the submission. And so, again, wanted to have him on the podcast to talk jiu-jitsu, get some ideas on the kind of things that he likes to do for training and that sort of thing. So again, hopefully you guys enjoy the podcast and gain some ideas from it for your own training. And if you guys are privy to doing triangles and like long, lanky type stuff, he has some good stuff out there. And I know in particular, he was talking about a unique triangle setup that he uses. So maybe you can go check his stuff out at the end of the podcast when we give out his Instagram handle, that kind of thing. You can go look him up and learn some ideas on a triangle. But with that said, guys, thanks to our sponsors for helping make the podcast happen so that we can bring my beautiful bearded voice to you once a week with Eugene here. And again, thanks to Charlotte's Web for sponsoring the podcast. You guys can check them out at their website, charlottesweb.com. The promo code for the discount is Jiu-Jitsu20 for 20% off the order. Again, I've talked about this numerous times. If you guys have listened to podcasts and my thoughts on CBD, I think it's a terrific product, especially for people that are looking for just extra things to add to the recovery tool belt, so to speak. Again, as we get older and we're training, it's nice to have little things to throw into that arsenal for recovery. Things like, I do things like ice baths and light cardio on my rest days to get the blood moving, stretching and all that stuff. And then CBD is a nice supplement to add to the mix. And again, you can try it out for yourself and see what you think. Some people like it, in the morning. Some people like it in the evening, like me. I like mine. I take it like around the time I take a shower. I'll take the tincture and do the little droppers, and then I take my shower and then go to sleep. And I believe it helps. I believe it helps with the inflammation that I get from all the sport training and stuff like that I do. So again, if you guys want to check out any of their products, go to their website at charlottesweb.com. Promo code is Jiu-Jitsu20 for 20% off the order. Try it out. See for yourself whether or not you like it. And again, go from there. Also, thanks to Matt at Epic Roll for being a sponsor of the podcast. EpicRollBJJ.com is the website. Matt has terrific gear, good quality stuff, and also great customer service. And again, if you guys are looking for some new gear or new t-shirts or anything like that, I really like his stuff. I love his no-gi gear, and he's got some great t-shirts, some very fun jiu-jitsu style t-shirts out there. So again, go to his website at EpicRollBJJ.com. Take a look through his list of items that he has. See if you like something. And if you do like something, use the promo code Chewjitsu for 15% off. Also, thanks to Manscaped. Manscaped is the premier men's grooming company. They make everything from head to toe, from, as we used to say when they first became a sponsor, from your beard down to your balls. They've got you covered. So again, they've got great trimmers and different devices to trim your hair and groom yourself, right? And then also all the balms and colognes and lotions and everything else they have. Everything smells amazing. And if anybody's looking for a gift for, a man in your life and you want to get them something good, their performance package 4.0, they might have a different name for it now, the platinum package, but they've got an actual package where it comes with all their different stuff, and it comes in a really nice box. Now that may not seem like a big deal to you, but there's something about, in a digital world where, we don't like, for instance, when you get something in the mail, it's almost like a gift. Like you almost get a present to open. The box that they have for this stuff, I know this is a silly thing to freak out about, but it comes in a really nice box that when you open it up, it feels like you're getting something special. So if you wanted to get someone a trimmer or some colognes and things like that, and you wanted to get them something nice, try out Manscaped. Look at their stuff on their website at manscaped.com. The promo code, if you want to save some money on it, is Jiu-Jitsu20, and that'll give you 20% off plus free shipping on whatever it is that you order. And again, I've tried pretty much everything that they have on their website. So, and it gets my bearded seal of approval. Also, if you guys want to support the podcast directly, you can do so by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/the Jiu-Jitsu podcast. Upon joining, you'll get access to a ad-free version of the podcast where you don't hear me telling these ads to you. And then also you get access to an exclusive library with content that's featuring little snippets with each one of our guests giving you an actionable tip for your jiu-jitsu that you can put into your training. Again, I think that's very useful. We also have some things like warm-up routines and sort of like that you can implement before your training or even after your training if you want to do longer holds. Again, if you're going to train typically before, you don't necessarily want to do the long holds. You want to, I mean, now I would, here's a quick thing with that.
Yes.
Sometimes if I have a particular area that's very tight, the long hold feels good.
Yeah.
But before training, but as long as it's not like abnormally so, it's like a short hold.
Yeah. Yeah. More dynamic straight. Like I think for recovery, like longer hold times, if you're looking at like maybe minimum of 2 minutes, you can do just a hold, like a static stretch for 2 minutes if you like. It's not really going to harm you that much, but like, I mean, I just more dynamic helps prime the body a little bit more. And so use your best judgment, see what feels good to you as well. You may have a tight area that might require a little more attention. Totally fine. If you stretch like one muscle a little bit longer or one group of muscles, probably not going to harm you.
Yeah. So guys, check it out. And again, you get access to everything that I just mentioned and more. Again, at patreon.com/the Jiu-Jitsu podcast. And if you guys would like to get access to my daily email that I send out, you can do so by going to my website at chewjitsu.net/join, JOIN. When you join, you will get access to my daily email, which could be everything from philosophical ramblings to specific jiu-jitsu techniques and ideas to exclusive offers and events that I have coming up that I only mention through the email. And then along with that, you'll get access to 2 free ebooks. One is on drilling strategies to help deal with training plateaus. And if you do not control your training, you can still implement them, right? There's still ideas that you can put into practice through the practice of active drilling. If you don't have a lot of control in your training, that you can do to break through those plateaus and create some new progress in your game. And then also we have an ebook that will go into developing a game plan, which I think is very useful. We talk about game plan and strategy in this podcast. And so again, that's if you're going to compete or even want to have a better idea of how your game works, it's a good idea to go through that one. So again, you get access to those and you can unsubscribe at any time. So with that said, guys, let's jump into this podcast with Elijah.
But, let me ask you this. Let me just break the ice. Tell me about your name, Jabroni. It's like Jabroni Grappler. What's that all about?
Yeah, man. I just me and a buddy. I'm from Chattanooga, Tennessee, and me and a buddy just kind of started calling each other jabronis just from being degenerates. Just like drinking and partying and doing stupid shit, And he just started calling me Jabroni, and all of our other friends started calling me Jabroni, and it just kind of made sense to make my grappling name Jabroni Grappler.
All right. Yeah.
We just kind of use it as like, it's like really The Rock made it famous, kind of
sure.
Like tomato can type word, people were supposed to lose. And I just thought it would be funny, and it kind of just was a hit. People seem to love it. They love the Jabroni, whatever.
Well,
I feel like at this point, I could literally steal anybody's move and just put Jabroni at the front of it, and people would like legitimately think it was mine.
Really? It's kind of like associated with you now, like the kind of like
yeah, for sure.
Interesting.
Well, I think that being good at grappling, right, and being good at it, and messing around and calling yourself a jabroni and having some fun, like self-deprecation a little bit is it's fun. You know what I mean? It's fun, and people kind of they respond to it well. Speaking about being, like you said, degenerate and drinking and partying, I feel like I read one of your posts where you were saying that I guess back in the day you used to be a little bit wild and stuff like that. Was that before jiu-jitsu or was that during jiu-jitsu or what?
Well, I mean, I've been doing jiu-jitsu like 16 years at this point. So I started when I was 12. It was really just me and my friends, like watching UFC. We had bought some gloves. But, I mean, over the years from being a teenager in high school to even recently, just a couple years ago, I was pretty wild. And honestly, I still am pretty wild. I've just I just maintain it a little bit better. I'm much more disciplined in that area of my life. You know, I really started taking it seriously probably 2 or 3 years ago.
What's being wild entail? What's like a wild evening?
What's a wild
what's a
Elijah
jabroni?
Carlton
Yeah.
story?
Oh man, what kind of like podcast is this? Is this like
Whatever you want it to
PG
be.
rated,
bro.
or you
We're
know?
not like it's. I mean, you know, we're all adults here, so it's fine.
Yeah, well, damn, I don't know. There's just too many to talk about. But
what's a fun time? What's a fun memory that you maybe have kind of growing up as a kid, or even jujitsu memory or something?
well, I mean, honestly, I kind of got this image like in the jujitsu community of being this dude who would like not train and would stay up all night and drink and party and do drugs and then go up and then show up at tournaments without any sleep and just wreck people. You know, that's kind of how like that image of me like got into the scene. And you know, Brandon McCatherine really well. He started calling me the bad guy, years ago, and I stuck with that one for a while. And then I just just deemed like more appropriate to call me the jabroni. You know,
Yeah,
just degenerate kind of. You know.
well, that was like the first time I'd really I saw you grapple like a couple times at some different like small tournaments in Tennessee and stuff like that. And then I remember like where I really saw you, I was like, damn, that kid's gotten good. Was with the you're an adult, of course, but you're younger than me. I'm an old man. So but I saw you.
Chewy?
I'm 38, so I've got you by 12 years, right? So
10.
10. Oh yeah, you're 20. Sorry. I can't math so good right now. But I saw you at the PGF and I was like, and you were just, I mean, you were finishing dudes left and right super quick. And I was like, oh man, like this kid, he looks good. Like he's definitely made some strides and stuff. When do you feel like with your jiu-jitsu, because obviously you've been doing it for a long time and you're obviously, everybody kind of comes into their own to where they start to have that moment like, man, I am pretty good at this stuff. When did you start to feel like that for yourself? Like mentally, you're like, man, I'm pretty good at this stuff. And maybe I really want to dive into this thing like full on and be more disciplined with it and all that stuff.
Honestly, I feel like I've always been pretty good at it. Like just naturally just had like long legs. I always had a good triangle. I was training with older dudes. I was training with grown men when I was like 12 years old, and I really couldn't do anything but to hold them off, but throw people in a close guard and try to triangle them. And then I quit coming for 3-4 years, and I started rock climbing a lot, and I got strong, and then I grew up, and then I was an adult, and I came back to it and started training in the gi and got even better at it, and just did that for a long time. It was just super competitive, and honestly, I think the turning point for me was like kind of opposite of what you were saying. I think I realized that I wasn't actually nearly as good as I thought I was when I opened a gym, and when did COVID hit? Was it 2019? Was it March of 2019?
20. It was 20.
Okay, so I opened my gym in like October, like the end of October, the beginning of November 2019, in downtown Chattanooga, right before COVID hit. And within like 3 or 4 months, I had ran out of stuff to teach, you know, and I was just like, damn, I don't think I really understand this like I thought I did, you know. I could do a lot of stuff and had a few moves that I was really good at it. And then and it just kind of hit me. I was like, damn, I really am not as good as I thought I was. I started stepping up in competition and I was getting beat by people that I thought I was better than. And that was kind of the turning point for me. I was like, okay, I need to step this up a little bit if I'm going to keep doing this. I need to study. And that's what I did. I just started buying instructionals and diving more into the learning side instead of just like training and competing.
What side of your game did you start to, you know, when you did that tournament in Louisville, man, you were working leg locks a lot. When did you start developing that, like certain layers to your game? What did you start with initially? Like you're like, man, I got to get better. Where do you begin?
Well, I feel like I definitely already had decent leg locks at that point and good triangles and stuff. So I really just needed to start working on my top game, a little bit of wrestling, my passing, my back mount, stuff like that. I was just, and I honestly, I mean, you watch my stuff. I'm still pretty much a butt scooter. I don't really wrestle, but I do get on top a lot more.
We gotta go with what works too, man. Like you're very
Yeah,
effective at what you
absolutely.
do. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna like throw that away. But like Tell me about kind of your learning process. So like you've got a new technique, new position you're trying to develop. How do you go about kind of breaking it down and implementing it into your training and then into your tournaments?
Man, you guys know I train under Sean. So Sean
Yeah.
Applegate, I'm a black belt under him. I got my black belt under Sean in December, I think, or November maybe. But really, Sean does all of that. He breaks it down week by week, and we have morning classes and we have night classes. He teaches something different in the morning classes than he does in night classes. So really, it's just like Sean reads the room really well and sees like what like the majority of people are struggling with, and then you see like the theme of the room change like while he's teaching these things. Like if Sean starts teaching guard passing, like you really see everybody in the room like start implementing the guard passing that he's showing, and then you see people start like slacking on the retention side, like the guard playing side, because everybody's getting better at passing, and then people are like, well, fuck, how do we stop this? So then it switches. Maybe the next week Sean's like on retention, or really Sean's the mastermind behind it. He sets up everything really well weekly, even divided between like morning class and night class, because we do 2 days, Monday through Wednesday. Then Thursday we train in the morning. We don't train at night on Thursday, and we don't train in the morning on Friday, but we train on Friday night.
Mhm. When did you head down there to Sean's? When did you make the decision? Because obviously you opened up a gym in Chattanooga, and so I guess maybe there was a point where you're like, man, this isn't working for me. I'm gonna go train with Sean. And how did that whole thing start?
Well, I mean, I met Sean probably 7 or 8 years ago. I was a blue belt, and if you didn't know, I used to train under Agogi Combatives. So I started training with that's a Higa Machado affiliation in Chattanooga. I started training under them when I was like 12. Stacy Meeks, the head black belt there, and Matt Harris. They were maybe like blue or purple belts at the time, but Stacy Meeks was my high school resource officer. And so we would use the wrestling mats after school, and he would just teach a little bit. But I trained under them for a long time, and I was a blue belt under them. Probably had been a blue belt for a year and a half to 2 years, and I was just wrecking the local scene. And there's this dude named Sterling Peace, one of my good buddies over there at Agogi, and he was always like taunting me, telling me that some dude was better than me and that could beat me, and I was like, no way, this dude can't beat me. And he was talking about Chase Hanna, if you know who Chase Hanna is.
Mm-hmm.
So I literally just like hopped into Sean's DMs and was like, hey, give me a match with Chase. And he just kind of like brushed me off and ignored me. And I just like kept pestering him. And one day he was finally like, all right, just drive down here to Gulf Shores and I'll set y'all up a match and we can just Facebook Live it. And I was like, okay, awesome. So I drove down there with a buddy and we do the match before their class started that night, and Chase beats me in like 12 seconds, like outside it looks me in like 12 seconds. We bet $100 on it, and it was Facebook Live. And I was like, damn. And I was about to leave, and Sean was just like, hey man, how about you stick around and do class and train? And I was like, okay, cool. So I stuck around and trained, and I've been with Sean since then. I was like, oh, these guys know a lot of shit that I have no clue about. And so he was down there in Gulf Shores. I was in Chattanooga. I would drive down there once a month, once every 2 or 3 months or something like that, whenever I could get down there and spend some time with him. And then I guess it was about 5 years ago, Sean decided that he was going to move to Atlanta. But at the time, I had actually moved out to Oregon. I was living in Oregon for about 2.5 years. I was training under Andrew Alexander out there while I was working on some weed farms in Grants Pass, Oregon. And then when I moved back, which was probably like, I don't know, it might have been a year after Sean moved to Atlanta, I was back in Chattanooga. So then he was just about an hour and a half from me. So since then, been down there once a week, twice a week. And then after I got my black belt from him in November, I was like, all right, this January, I'm just going to move down there to where you're at. And so I've been down here full time with him since.
Nice.
I've seen my game tenfold in the last 6 months since I've been like under him every day, like in the room every day, you know?
what do you like about him as a coach? I mean, besides kind of having things planned out and organizing, like what do you think he does really well that kind of really integrated well into your game and kind of made you that much better in a short amount of time?
I think Sean has this ability to. I think there's a lot of coaches in jiu-jitsu that are good at different aspects of the game, and Sean just seems to be good at all of them. Like, there's a lot of people who have the philosophy side down and like the concepts down, but then don't really aren't able to articulate how to apply those things, like the application of those things. Sean's really good at giving you these concepts and these principles, and then like actually showing you how to apply these concepts to the principles, because principles are constant in jiu-jitsu. Concepts are the ways that we can manipulate those principles. And Sean does a really good job of setting these principles of jiu-jitsu and then these concepts and how we can apply these concepts to the principles, and gives very good, very forward and direct instruction on how to apply all of these things to the principles.
Yeah, that's cool because I think a lot of times I've had students come in who will watch a video or something and they'll tell me some, they're excited about it and they'll share some concept or principle that they've learned from the interwebs, right? And I'll say, well, I'll ask them okay, well, how does that translate to you actually doing something? What is the manifestation of that in a technique or whatever? And so I think it's a coach is really useful when they can give you the concept, they can give you that why are we doing this and what is all that stuff, but also giving you that direct, here's how to apply that, here's a strategy to actually execute that, versus now we're just talking about theoretical ideas that are fun that kind of tickle our brains. Well, we can do that too, but then we can also now have a very clear understanding of here's how we implement those into a match or a role.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the better aspects of Sean is that he's much better at honestly, he's equally as good at everything, but what I like about him the most is that he without connection in jiu-jitsu, everything's more chaotic, and that's where Sean, I think that's where Sean separates himself from most other people in jiu-jitsu, is that his Kazushi is just unreal. You have the principle in jiu-jitsu of weight distribution, and that's a principle that's constant in jiu-jitsu, is weight distribution. And Kazushi is just the manipulation of the concept of Kazushi is just the manipulation of weight distribution. And Sean can apply that anywhere. Sean's if you watch all of our guys, honestly, all of our Kazushi is top notch. We're very good at off balancing and entering into positions that win, right? Going from a very chaotic state in jiu-jitsu to a very controlled state in jiu-jitsu. We cover that gap really well, right?
What are some other principles you feel like that you've learned or he's taught you that have been kind of very much those standstills, those things that you use every day, whether it's from learning, training, anything like that? What are some of those key principles that you feel like have been very important?
Honestly, Sean's really intimidating. He's probably one of the most intimidating people I've ever met in my life. And the way just how he holds you accountable in the room, when you're not there, and when he can tell you're not putting the effort in you need. And that's something I need. I mean, I'm literally a degenerate, I don't know. That's where I've benefited from Sean the most, is guidance from him, just staying on my ass about what I need to be doing,
Yeah, you're one of those dudes that left to your own devices, you're going to screw off and not do what you need to do. And so it's good having a coach to stay on your ass until you give you the crack the whip when it's needed.
Yeah, absolutely. Sean's really good at separating professional and personal, in the gym. While we're training, it's very professional, but the moment we're done training, Sean's a different person. When Sean's the professional version of Sean is very, very, very intimidating, and it does me very well because I feel like I'm just a loose screw. So he's able to manage me pretty well,
That's cool. Now, when you were at the recent which was it the ADCC Open? Was it in, where was it? Because I watched you compete. You looked
Yeah,
great.
that was the ADCC. That was Denver. Yeah.
Denver. Sorry, I thought it was Colorado, but I couldn't remember. I went and watched your matches and stuff like that, and you looked really good in the tournament. I mean, you were getting after it. You had a little slight like technical error like towards like with Taza. Because I think like it was like one of those things where it's basically just a complete. It's just the rules, right? It was just a rule thing. But otherwise it was a really good match all around. How did you feel in that tournament? Because obviously you said you've been making strides in your game. And so that wasn't that long ago. So how did you feel in that tournament? And was there anything different than normal, like as far as the competition now that you're training full time with Sean and you're just training and that's it?
I think confidence was through the roof for one. Just like me knowing, like, I mean, I used to go out there without any planned training, like not specific training. I would and not consistent training and just like not good cardio or anything. I went out there like very well prepared. Probably more like, I mean, I've done a few competitions here and there, like since I've been here in January, but like that one was the most important one for sure, and the one I was most prepared for. And I just went out there and felt really good. Like even my wrestling, I wrestled a little bit with Taza, and that's something you literally probably have never seen me do. Like maybe like some videos on my Instagram, like in the training room, you can see a little bit. But I think that was the first time I ever tried to actually score a point on somebody in a jiu-jitsu match, and I thought I did pretty well.
It didn't look bad.
Considering for one, the elevation, like I felt like my cardio was pretty shit. Like within 3 minutes of wrestling, I was like, oh damn, I'm gassed, which is pretty normal for me anyway, but I had been working on it a bunch. So honestly, I just think I just came in there much more prepared and much more confident. Like I pretty much steamrolled through everybody I had my first 3 matches, and then like you said, I made a pretty shitty error there at the end with Taza. I thought if you watch the video, like we go out of bounds as he takes me down, and I get back to my feet, and like in the middle of me standing back up, they reset us back to the middle. And I looked over. I wasn't sure if they'd given him points for the takedown because I wasn't sure how long I was on my ass. Because I kind of like he went to take me down. I kind of just dove underneath him and tried to attack a leg. And he tried to pass my guard for a split second, and I just kind of framed him and got back to my feet. And they reset us in the middle of me getting back to my feet. So we're walking over to the middle, and I look over, and they've given him the 2 points for the takedown. And I was like, in my mind, I was thinking I could pull that since they were resetting us, they were resetting me on bottom since he got the 2 points for the takedown, but that wasn't the case. So he got the 2 points for the takedown, and then they gave me a negative for pulling right there.
Right.
And I wrestled up and took him down and got 2 points. And even at the end of the match, you can tell me and Taza like we're ready to keep grappling because I don't think neither of us realized that I had a negative.
Yeah,
so if I knew I would have had a negative, I'm not saying it would have went any different, but I might have done a few things differently. I didn't know I was down 1 from that negative.
Yeah, well, then you would have gone into an overtime, and that would have been that. And then you could have like finished the battle. But it was a good match, and obviously, I mean, it's not the way that it's not how you wanted to lose or win, whatever. But it's the performance was such that I think maybe it was kind of a reassurance to like, oh man, you're doing the right thing right now because Taza's no slouch.
Yeah, Taza's no slouch. He's not the best wrestler, and obviously neither am I. I'm kind of subpar at wrestling, and I had a decent bit of weight on Taza. I wouldn't say like a lot. Maybe I might have had 7 or 8 pounds on him or something. But I felt good. It was the first time I ever got in there and tried to wrestle. And Taza's a very like obviously what they do the best at New Wave is execute game plans. Tactics. Like their tactics are on point over there. So I thought I did pretty good against somebody who's like done that rule set a lot and had a good game plan. And realistically, I don't think I had a game plan at all. I was just like, as soon as the match started, I was like, okay, I don't want a negative. I'll just wrestle. And yeah.
What do you think kept you more disciplined? Is there something you did to be more regimented, more disciplined for this tournament? It probably is very reassuring. You did those things and you saw the results, right? So like, what do you think it was that kept you kind of more focused this time for like this tournament?
Just being down here in Atlanta, honestly, because like I said, I'm from Chattanooga and I don't really know a lot of people here in Atlanta, so that kind of keeps me like not going out at night, and like all my degenerate friends are up in Chattanooga. So if I'm up there, I'm out drinking partying, having fun. So like just the distance between Chattanooga, like I come home, I play with my dog, and I watch TV and I go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
All the people are jiu-jitsu people that are training, right? So
yeah, everybody I'm surrounded by here in Atlanta is like very disciplined. I'm honestly probably the least disciplined person in our room that takes jiu-jitsu seriously. Like our schools like has a bunch of competitors, quite a few like on that professional scene.
Mhm.
I'm by far the least disciplined, by
Mm.
far. But much more disciplined than I used to be.
Yeah. Well, and discipline, like skill. I mean, discipline's a practice, right? It's it's easy to post motivational quotes and bullshit, right? But then it's it's a whole nother thing to actually practice those things. And so discipline's something you can practice and develop just like you do arm bars.
Yeah, for sure. And like how much it really boils down to how much this means to you. Like I had a
Mhm.
really long conversation with Sean the other day. I had a match with Andre Porforio a few weeks ago down in Florida for the Zapatero title, which I held, and then I lost it a few weeks ago. He caught me in some weird little straight ankle lock, but I took a couple weeks off after that and was just thinking about like my future in the sport and like I live pretty broke at the moment, so I can train.
Yeah.
It's like I was just thinking about like my future in the sport and where is it going to lead me? And Sean was talking to me a bunch. He was like, like we don't really like these people at the top, like they're not remembered for much of anything but like what they sacrificed. Like whether you hate Gordon or not, everybody respects him because like what he sacrificed. And it's like, am I willing to sacrifice all these things to get to the top of jiu-jitsu?
Mhm.
And honestly, I'm probably not.
Yeah.
Like I like to have fun, and I'm definitely doing a much better job, like I said. But like, I don't want to look back in 20 or 30 years and be like, damn, I blew my entire 20s. Like, look at Gordon. Gordon has blown his entire 20s, like not having any fun. I had a lot of fun, you know. I've had a lot of fun in my 20s. So, and I think honestly, I think I'll develop more in this. Like, I'm 28. I think I'm gonna do much more developing from 28 to 35 because I did get that out of the way. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed my 20s and had a lot of fun while I was young. And now I'm at this point where I've like settled down a lot and I can really focus and do what I want to do.
Yeah, well, everybody sort of hits their stride at different times, right? So, like you said, you see some people do the opposite. I've seen dudes like grind and get everything together in their 20s, and then they hit their 30s, and then they like want to go back and do all that stuff, and then they go the complete opposite and they let it all fall apart.
Yeah.
And then, I think that it's, you getting your stuff out. All right, well, you got your fun out, you're still in a good position, and now you're more mature, you've had experiences, and you can maybe direct yourself a little bit more thoughtfully, like what do you actually want. And something I was talking about with one of the other guys on the podcast the other day was, you never really make the right decision, you make the decision right. So whatever you do, no matter what decision you make, it's your bed, you got to sleep in it, right? So
Yeah,
if you go this
absolutely.
direction, well, good, go that direction 100%. If you go this direction, go 100% in this direction, because nobody's path's the same. And again, you don't ever really make the right decision because you can screw everything up along the way, no matter what.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just I'm just kind of, I'm just kind of strolling now. I'm putting the time in and really just seeing where it takes me. I got a lot of good friends, got a lot of good people around me. Um, Honestly, the goal's probably open my gym back up in Chattanooga eventually.
Mhm.
I want to I want to soak up everything I can from Sean over the next couple years, and then maybe head back to Chattanooga and get my gym open again. I just love teaching jujitsu. I love training. I love traveling. I love how much it's like allowed me to travel and just meet new people and have fun. You know?
Do you think living the kind of lifestyle you lived and then went and going to compete, that maybe ease off some pressure? You're just like, man, I didn't really train, so whatever happens, happens. You feel like
Oh
more
yeah,
loose?
I feel much more pressure on me now that like
Yeah.
doing it full time. Like I feel like that was definitely one of the bigger keys to my success um over the last like 5, 6 years is that I like just didn't have this stress on me because it was like if I lose, I was probably supposed to lose because these guys work way harder than me. And now I'm in a position where I'm like in the room with like some of the better people in the country, you know. I think we got one of the best rooms in the country, like hands down. You know, we've got me, we've got Ryan Aiken, combat jiu-jitsu world champ, we've got Chase Hanna, Kevin Beering, if you don't know who Kevin is. Like we've got some really good people in the room right now. And yeah.
So the question about the training. So I like to ask people about like their ideas on this because again, people have different philosophies and different approaches. For you, do you find that do you like or do you find a benefit in like drilling your techniques and getting your reps in? That drilling could obviously be like more passive, or it could even be with like light movement and things like that. Or are you one of those guys that's like, I don't want to drill, just let me roll, and then I'll use my techniques during rolling? What do you find more beneficial for your game?
Oh no, we have a very since the day I met Sean, even when I teach classes, it's all structured the same. We drill for an hour.
Mhm.
He probably talks and shows instruction for the first 15 minutes of class, and then we've got another 45 minutes to drill. And Sean, like even I think I teach more than Sean does for sure. Like Sean will teach for about 15 minutes and he'll answer any questions, but he doesn't ever show more than one move. He isolates one thing and progresses on that throughout the week. Like this week we did in the morning classes, we're doing half guard passing, and so and next week we're gonna talk about forcing into half guard and actually getting into the half guard.
Yeah, love it.
But this week we're already in the half guard. The first thing we did um, on Monday is we got rid of the knee shield with one of the methods that Sean uses and locked onto a body lock, and we didn't even pass. Like we didn't even complete the pass in class. That's all we did is we removed the knee shield, figured out how to leverage our arm under the back and lock a body lock, and that's all we did in class. And we drilled that for 45 minutes. And then yesterday we did the same thing. We removed the knee shield, and then we were able to get to a cross face. And once we get to the cross face, we're hip staggering. And then today we just did double underhooks instead of a crossface. We went double underhooks. As soon as we got to our double underhooks, we hip staggered. We passed. Tomorrow, I'm not sure what we're going to do, but then next week we're just going to do force in the half guard. But back to what we were talking about is we isolate one thing. Sean doesn't really ever teach more than one movement, especially like if it's dynamic. If we're doing a dynamic movement, like that's definitely the only thing he's going to show in class. There might be a few parts to some other stuff that's more controlled, but most of the time we're isolating one thing. We're going to do it all class. And then if you're really serious about what you're doing, you should be looking to try and isolate that in your live rolling too. You should be like, okay, I'm going to try my damnedest to get to this position. And once I get to this position, I'm going to try to apply the technique that we learned today.
What do you guys do do you all like integrate positional sparring, positional rolling into that afterwards and then full rolling? Is that
No, during the day we just roll after class, and at nighttime, most of every night we do EBI overtime rounds at the end of class. So we don't even do arm bars. Like we don't do, if we're happen to be working arm bars or something in nighttime class, we might do spider web EBI OT, but other than that, it's always back rounds. We do 4 rounds of EBI overtime on the back every night.
Is there a specific reason you guys work that position?
Because nobody really picks spiderweb and EBI overtime, and it's so common in jiu-jitsu tournaments these days, you know, to have the EBI overtime.
Okay.
And it's so common for people to just try and stall us out, you know. So we're looking at going to overtime a lot if people are just going to stall us out, you know.
Do you have a favorite like rule set? Because like with the EBI, every rule set has its pros and cons. But thinking about the EBI and its unique rule set, is there a particular rule set that you favor or that you like the most?
Not really, man. Honestly, like I said, the ADCC Open that I did was the first time I actually went in with a game plan, and that was honestly only in the finals. Because if you don't know, the ADCC rules they change during the finals, right? You get a negative for pulling.
Negative you pull, yeah.
Yeah. which is kind of crazy to me. I'm like, I can use the same strategy to get to the finals, but then when you get to the finals, I can't use that strategy anymore. So
Or you
like,
can, but you better be ready to haul ass and get after him, right? It's like
well, no, you get a negative.
Right, you just don't get to pull guard, and you don't get to pull guard and be relaxed thinking that everything's neutral. Like if you pull guard and you get that negative, then you're going to have to fight to get those points back or get the submission.
And it's like, I mean, most people who are gaming the system, like it's like if you pull and get that negative, you ain't getting close to them. You know, it's not going to happen. They're just going to back away and back away and back away and just like ride that negative to the end, you know? So it's a little different, but honestly, I don't really prefer any rule set over the other. I prefer to grapple somebody who wants to grapple me. I just want to go in there and submit. That's the goal every single time. I mean, honestly, I really do like the ADCC rule set. I like the points because I feel like I can wrestle up pretty good off of my butt. But I don't like that. I do not like that rule at the end, like in the finals, that you can't pull without a negative. That's just, it doesn't make any sense to me. It favors wrestling, and I feel like this is a jiu-jitsu tournament.
Yeah, and I think, you know, to me with the like, there's two, like with the ADCC, I love it. We're just like basically we're bitching and complaining here now. At least I am. You know, with the ADCC, I don't mind the rules. I don't like the with the turtle rule where if I take you down and you go to turtle, I don't get points, because I think there's that disincentivizes a lot of actual takedown attempts, because you'll have matches like Dante Leon and Mika Gaval where he just like turtled up, and to me it was like, dude, that would have been an amazing finish, and you want to incentivize people going for the wrestling anyway, but if they just turtle and you get no points, whatever. And from
There's
a fighting
some people out there that literally will just turtle. It's just like they and they're really good at it. It's like you can take them down, but they're going to turtle. And
100%.
It's hard to deal with that. That's something I struggle with a lot. Like more MMA oriented people and wrestling people who literally are just good at standing up. They're turtle, like they'll just turtle and stand up, and it's like, damn, how do you deal with these people?
Right. And then to go back to your point, I would like to see jiu-jitsu tournaments in general just be heavier on stalling calls. Like
Absolutely.
if you get a guy, if you know, I understand that sometimes action's not going to happen. Like you got, like, for instance, if you're passing someone's guard or you're setting stuff, it takes time. But like when guys literally back away from someone and just keep doing it, to me, it's like, bro, like just stay full. Like you can just go in there and let's play the game, and let's battle, and whoever wins wins. But like the whole backing away and like running once you get a point, it's awful.
There's just, I mean, look where we're at. That's a problem today, and we've evolved so much. Like that's just always going to be a problem, unless what you were talking about, unless we actually throw those stalling calls and start DQing people right off the bat. Like it's like within a second, if you're backing away and stalling, first stalling call, like right off the bat, and actually start DQing people. Because I mean, when have we ever DQ'd anybody at ADCC for stalling? We don't. So it's like it's not going to discourage you from doing it unless you know you're going to actually get DQ'd.
Right. If you're going to get DQ'd or you're going to start getting negative points pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to, the only time I think I've ever seen like in a high level match, like a DQ, was there was a double DQ with Keenan and one of the Meow brothers where they were tangled up in 50-50 in the gi, and they were just kind of doing nothing. And
how do you double DQ somebody?
I don't know, man. The guy basically was like, fight, you know, like whatever. And, you know, that kind of thing. And eventually just like stood them both up and boom, double DQ'd them. That was it.
What if that's like the finals of a tournament?
I don't know, bro.
Third place gets
third place gets it. Yeah, I don't know, man. It was a wild thing. And that's where I think you could maybe even do reset rules like judo does, where if you get into a position and the action isn't happening, because like 50-50 is a pain in the butt, especially in the gi where you can't heel hook.
Yeah,
just break them up, reset. Let's get the match started. Go back after it, fellas. You know.
Yeah.
What was the It was Craig Jones against, who was it? Like they gave him a bunch of points. He was trying to pass.
It was Craig Jones and Kanan. And Kanan was like,
he was passing, right?
Dude, he had like 12 points or something. And they were saying he was stalling. I was like, bro, he's putting on a passing clinic. It's like it wasn't always pretty, but weird. Like I don't know how you say someone's stalling when he's passing to mount.
Yeah, Craig jokes about that a lot. If you watch any of his stuff, he jokes about Kynan should have gotten DQ, but he's not being serious. He knows he got
right. Of course,
he got fucked up.
Craig has a good.
I was at ADCC and I seen Craig right after that match, and his face was just bruised. Like he got roughed up bad.
Yeah, it was a mean, very dominant. I mean, Craig was very dangerous too, right? You got to be really smart about how you pass his
For
guard
sure.
because he can get underneath you so quickly. And I mean, he did a great job. And you have to be very tight with that passing. You can't get loose. I mean, he's going to get underneath you. So, like, I mean, and he was progressing, but I don't know. Are you looking to do are you going to do trials, ADCC trials?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm probably
That
going to do the Chicago Open. I think that's here in like 3 or 4 weeks.
Yep.
I'm not sure if I'm doing it yet, but I think I'm going to. But other than that, really, I'm just focused on trials this year. And I think I'm going to do 88. I was hoping nobody's said anything about it. I was hoping they would add 83 because they have 83 kilograms at all the opens, which is 182.9 pounds, which is basically 183, which is perfect for me because I walk around like 188, 189. I'm a little bit bigger right now because I'm getting bigger for trials.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to do 88. But if I don't do good at 88, I might drop down and do 77, which is 169. I might do that for
How tall
West
are you?
Coast. I'm 6'2" and like 3/4.
Yeah, you're pretty tall, dude. I remember seeing. I was surprised at how long limbed you were when we saw you in Louisville. And I
Yeah,
was
I'm
like, man,
all
he's got
legs. I'm all legs and arms.
Yeah. So you kind of developed the kind of your game around your body type, I assume, like just kind of what felt good to you naturally.
For sure. I just used to pull people in a close guard and throw up triangles, and that's kind of how I started developing every part of my game. Honestly, that's what built confidence. Is I knew okay, well, I can just pull this guy in a close guard and throw up 50 triangle attempts until one works.
Yeah. You remind me of we had a guy at Black Belt, Chad Hardy. He reminds me a lot of Chad. Like, I don't know, just like
Started the same age, both super tall.
Yeah, I know
lanky,
Chad. I had a match with Chad. Probably, it was probably 7 years ago.
Yeah,
it was a long time ago. I remember the match. Yeah.
At a
Yeah,
Gogi,
okay.
we had a good match. He beat me in overtime by like a sweep or something like that. It was the finals of the. I think it was the finals. Maybe it was.
It was in some gym because I remember like you
It
were
was at a Gogi.
Yeah, okay, it was the Gogi. So I think like I can't remember, but I feel like you were like the tough match, right? It was like the match where it was like,
Yeah.
because Chad was doing that thing, which I'm sure you were doing too when you're young, like you're going through and you're just like, murking to people like whatever, and then every now and then you kind of young guys would battle up against each other and you would like have a tough match.
Yeah, I was super. I'm sure Chad's bigger now too, but I was super tiny then. If you watch that match or look at some of those matches, like man, I was real tiny.
How long ago was that?
Like 2017.
That one's
16?
on YouTube. You can find that one on YouTube pretty easily.
I just talking to you, like your physique, your build, like just like I was like, man, it just reminds me so much of Chad because Chad kind of like young kid in the gym, and then like I remember
Chad was just down in this area in Chattanooga last weekend. He was teaching a seminar at my buddy Pack's gym. It's called Apex Jiu-Jitsu in Cleveland, Tennessee.
Yeah, Chad was like, I just remember seeing like around like blue belt and then purple belt, Chad just started wrecking people in the gym, and I was like, oh man.
Here's a question. Speaking on that stuff, so you got into this stuff when you were 12. Did you I'll share why I'm asking this, because Chad was my enforcer for a while, not because he was so mean or anything like that, but because he was such a beanpole when he was a kid. He was like, at one point he was like 6 foot tall, like 125 pounds or something, and he had like the little Bieber haircut going. You know what I mean? So he just like he didn't look like anything that was intimidating. And I'd have some MMA guy come in there, would just be like, yeah, I'm like fighting or whatever, and they would talk this big game. I was like, well, why don't you go roll with that little kid over there? And I would just give Chad a wink. Did your coach ever put you as the enforcer, like you were the guy, the humbler of the gym?
Absolutely. This is before our gym even really started, because like I said, I did it for at least 2 years without an instructor or anything. Me and my friends were literally watching UFC. We're like watching Anderson Silva and like Jose Aldo and Miguel Torres back in the day in WEC.
Right.
And just trying to I lived up in an attic that had like carpet in it, like when I was growing up in our house. And it was a pretty big area, and me and my friends would just come over and we would get carpet burned really bad because we'd be like rolling. My parents would be yelling at us from downstairs because we were making so much noise, like banging on the floor and stuff from rolling.
Yeah. That's how I got
We
started.
did that
too,
for a couple years.
basement.
But then I met my high school resource officer before I was even in high school, I think, because my brother had introduced me to him, and we would use the old high school jiu-jitsu or wrestling mats to do jiu-jitsu. And I came in there and I got pretty decent at it and was rolling with like these grown men who were at the time, like, I mean, this was 10 years ago. So to have this is probably This is a while. This is quite a while ago, but to have like I think Stacy might have been a purple belt at the time, and Matt might have been a blue, but like there wasn't any jujitsu around. Like there wasn't any like there wasn't jujitsu like there was now. There's just like
No.
that to have like a blue or a purple belt on the mats was kind of crazy. And he didn't even really teach class. He might show like one thing, and we would like warm up and stretch together, and then we would just roll. But after a few years of doing that, I was probably like 15 or 16 years old. I was definitely that kid for him. Stacy and Matt would like, oh, okay, well, come roll with this guy. And I would be that kid, and I would just triangle the shit out of these people.
What do you think made you stick with like not being terribly disciplined? Like, what was it about jujitsu that you really loved? Like that made
I
you
just
stick
love
with
winning. Winning's very fun. You know,
it?
I'm
That's it.
just.
That's all.
I think I'm honestly I'm an addict by nature, and
Okay.
I'm addicted to winning. So it just gives me that rush. You know.
And then, okay. And then how do you deal with losses? Because obviously nobody does jujitsu and doesn't lose. But obviously you have improved off of those. So you love winning. And then how do you deal with your losses when they pop up?
I guess it just depends on the situation, you know, like how I lost, um, how prepared I was. Like I didn't take this last loss very well. I got subbed, which doesn't happen much. Like I don't get subbed.
Mhm.
Like I can the only people who have subbed me and like my I mean I can't remember everybody who subbed me, but the last people to sub me were Hunter Colvin subbed me twice or three times actually at this point because one was a long time back in the day, and then twice in the second season of the PGF. He subbed me in the season, and then he subbed me in the finales in the final. Giancarlo subbed me maybe like a year ago, and then Andre Porfirio subbed me. Like, you know, it's like I don't get subbed. It's just like really hard to pass my guard. It's really hard to sub me. It's really hard to pin me down. Um, so I got subbed by Andre. I didn't take that one very well. I took a couple weeks off after that one and just kind of get my mental state right.
Yeah.
But especially since like I don't think it would have bothered me like a few years back when I wasn't taking shit so seriously. But now,
Mm.
especially in the last 7 or 8 months that I've been down here in Atlanta, like I've been in the room with Ryan, who's beat Andre uh, 2 or 3 times at this point, and I didn't take that one very well. But we back at it.
What'd you learn from it? Like, what was something you took away from maybe that was positive?
I didn't I didn't prepare for that match as well as I should have,
Mm.
and I don't know.
Yeah.
Not sure. I guess I'm still learning. That one was just a few weeks ago, so
Still processing.
Still
still
digesting.
processing that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you said your buddy, like Ryan has beat him?
Yeah,
How
yeah.
do you do with Ryan? Do you beat Ryan?
How do I do it, Ryan? He fucking puddles me into the mat.
Love it. Oh
Yeah,
man.
Ryan's an animal. He's a different type of beast.
Okay. I was wondering because I know there's like I've had guys where like you would have this weird thing where like, you know, one guy in the gym beats the other guy, and then like when they compete, they both have different like the guy who was getting beat in the gym beats the guy in a competition, but then the guy who's winning in the gym loses to the guy in competition. So I didn't know if it was something like that. So
It might be. I'm sure I have strengths that he doesn't have, but in the room he just puddles me.
Mm. Do you have like I mean, as far as your like mentality going into training and things like that, what are you looking to do? Do you have a certain intention every time you go on the mats to train or drill? There's something you're like thinking about trying to work towards?
I'm trying to get to the mount, and I'm trying to S mount armbar every time.
There you go. Game plan. That's awesome.
I'll take the back if they won't let me. If they won't let me
Yeah.
have it, which is most of the time what they're going to give you if they don't want their elbows above their head.
Sure.
That's
Yeah.
that is exactly what I'm looking for every single time.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, you've got a great, and that's interesting because you've got such a good bottom game, right? And then you're trying to get in the mount and passing.
I mean, honestly, like you see a lot of my leg locks and stuff, but my A game in the gym is definitely my mount. I have a very good shoulder crunch sweep, and I have a very good double under sweep, and I use Hizaguruma to sweep instead of really like Sumagaishi. I kick the knee out from people. I was trying to do it to Chewy in our match, but he just brooded out of that, postured
Well,
up out of that one.
Well, in the beginning of the match, you had me off balance, like right out of the gate. And usually, like, I'm a butterfly guard guy, so like I usually have a good read on people as soon as we get in there, but and usually they don't get up under me that quick. And you were under me real fast. I was like, okay, like I've got to be mindful of that because like I was already like there was a moment where we were like floating for a second.
I
And
think you thought I was trying to attack your legs, but really I was trying to sweep you and get on top of you.
I didn't know what you were doing. I was just trying to make sure your hips didn't get under me because obviously if you can get up under me with those hips, like you can do it whatever you want to with me, sweep me or you know, get to the legs.
So what are you going to do as far as like preparing for the ADCC, like, you know, for trials and things like that with, you know, those negative, is the negative points just in the finals?
Just in the finals. And
just
then,
in the finals.
Yeah, just in the finals.
Honestly,
like
I should have sat and just took the negative right off the bat and played my game. I think that would have been a completely different outcome with Taza. If I would have just sat, took my negative, and then wrestled up and got my 2 points on him, if I needed to, I think I think I probably could have subbed him if I just sat down and had that full 6 minutes to try and sub him. But within the last minute and a half, I feel like I could have wrestled up and got my 2 points and then been up 2-1.
Are you going to change anything for the trials?
Absolutely not. I'm going to do exactly what I've been doing. I mean, I've worked on my wrestling a little bit, but like that's really just for the cardio of all my wrestle ups and stuff. Like I'm not going to go out there and stand and wrestle with anybody. I don't know why I did with Taza. I really don't. I literally, like I said, I should have just pulled and took the negative, but that was my first time. I was in the finals of the ADCC Open. It was Oliver Taza, and I was just like, I don't know. I just stood up and wrestled.
Yeah.
Well, so,
I was like, I can take this dude down, and I couldn't. So
sometimes it's like you get into those positions, and I've had that happen before. I remember doing that at trials when I was in the semifinals. I remember it was like, okay, like I'm in the semis, or if I win this one, then the whole day I didn't give two shits about how it was going. I was like, I'm just doing this match to match. Let me go try to submit someone. You know what I mean? And it was like 3 out of the 4 matches I submitted them, right? So I was like, going good. And then in the semis, I was like, okay, I'm up against tough guy named Tim Spriggs. All right, I've gone against Tim before. He beat me by decision. So now I started strategizing a little bit too much. And then I played like a completely different game and I paid for it. Whereas like I don't think I would have beat Tim anyway on that day because he was really sharp, but I think I could have done better than what I did. And I think it was partly because I changed my game plan going into it. And I should have just said, you know, let's just play the same thing that got us here. But you know, we all do it, you know.
I really regretted that after I lost in the finals. I was like, man, why did I not just sit and just play my game? Because I mean, you see me, if you watch the whole match, I wrestled for the first 3.5 minutes. And when have you ever seen that? You know, it's like, I'm definitely not going to be able to implement that nearly as good as I might be able to in the gym, for one. And then 2, it's just my first time ever really trying it like live in a competition with the stress on me.
Did you know you were aware of the rule set in the finals, right? You were aware of the negative points?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's why I stood up and wrestled. That's why I stayed standing and wrestled. I was like, I don't want this negative.
I see. But man, yeah, you've got like, I guess it's conducive to wrestling, you know, ADCC is, but still, like, I mean, if you're very confident in your sweeps and your wrestling up ability and, you know, attacking, and you can still, you know, counteract those points.
I'll definitely be working a lot more on my wrestle ups. I think we're going to do a camp 8 weeks out. So I don't know how far out that is, but I'll definitely be working a lot on my wrestle ups.
Yeah, I was going to ask you just the last question for me, bro, is, you know, with what you've done so far, and again, I know you have plenty of life left in you, but do you have any particular favorite accomplishment that you've had in jiu-jitsu? That doesn't have to be a tournament win. It can be whatever it is to you. And if you do have something that maybe stands out, why is it your favorite?
Be a little bit more specific. Like what do you mean? Like,
okay. Let's just go back to this. And how about a match? Is there any particular match? It doesn't have to be for a championship. Do you have any particular match that you were particularly proud of, that you won at some point in your career so far? And if it does stand out to you as like one of those like matches where like, man, I'm really proud of this. Why?
Well, I mean, honestly, even though I didn't win that one, I was pretty proud of the Taza performance. You know, Taza's world class, and thought I did pretty decent for what I came into it with. Honestly, my entire run I've done in the PGF, like the first season I went like, I think I went 28-0, all 28 submissions. You know, that's hard to do, to just especially like 6-minute matches to get submissions on all those people.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know who Bill Cooper is. I had a pretty nice one over him.
Yeah.
Do you know who Bill is?
Yeah, of course.
Bill the Grill?
I remember
Bill the Grill, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a that was one of the first questions you asked me, but that was probably when I kind of figured out I was pretty good at this. Like I beat him in like 22 seconds or something like that. I triangled him with my signature move. I don't know if you've ever seen my triangle and how I hit it, but it was my signature move. And I just kind of flashed him with it real quick.
I don't know your signature triangle, so if we ever come across each other again, you'll have to show it to me.
For sure, yeah. You can probably find it on BMAX page too, on YouTube or something like that. It's just the way I enter it, and the grips I use on the elbow.
Okay. Yeah.
That
I was
match
wondering
for
if you could
sure.
explain it. Yeah.
Well, now these days, like, again, you can go on my Instagram and scroll a little bit.
Sure.
Message me on Instagram or something, and I'll like send you like this specific video or something. But I use like use what I call a lace grip. So I kind of lace your arm. It's kind of hard to show you.
Yeah, I'll just watch the video because it's like it's really hard to describe jiu-jitsu, right? So
yeah. But the angle I hit it at too, like I started doing it from like a kind of like a very loose single butterfly hook. So I would I would throw my leg over their shoulder while I still had a butterfly hook in, and it kind of made people feel comfortable allowing that leg to rest on the shoulder because my hook was still inside, and they're like, okay, I can just smash this hook. He won't be able to pull his leg out and wrap the lock up, but I use this grip on the elbow that allows me to pull your knee and elbow away from each other, which gives me the space to pull my foot out of that butterfly hook, and then I can lock up. And by the time I've locked up, my angle's already cut. Like I don't have to cut my angle anymore. It's just like the way I do it, it kind of cuts the angle for me.
Awesome. Very cool, man.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen any of the high rollers matches I've had. I was the 3-time absolute champ, brown belt absolute champ at high rollers. So probably like 3 years ago, I went out there and won a tournament. I think I had 3 or 4 matches. It was an absolute tournament. It was on 420 like 3 years ago. And then I went back and defended it twice against some different people and ended up losing the title because I got my black belt in December, November, whenever. And then I had another match just a couple months ago out in Phoenix against some local black belt out there. But always enjoy doing those. I don't know if you've seen any of their stuff. Like
I've seen
a super cool environment. Yeah. Probably the coolest shows I've ever done. Just a bunch of people getting really high. And if you watch the events and stuff, that's exactly what it is. Like it's not even like it's not very professional and it's not ran really well. It's ran by it's exactly what you would think from a bunch of stoners trying to run a jiu-jitsu event, and it's just fun to do. Thoroughly enjoy going out there and competing with them.
Well, that was like when we were out. What was it? It was when we were.
They had high rollers like in Denver. They had or not in Denver. I'm sorry,
in Vegas.
In Vegas, yeah. During ADCC last year, they had I guess they have a gym out there, right?
Yeah,
you can. Yeah, so they had a gym like an open mat.
I competed that first night of ADCC. So Saturday was the first day of ADCC.
Okay.
And Saturday night I defended my brown belt title and won.
Oh, nice.
Very cool,
so that was an awesome weekend for me. Honestly, I didn't think I was going to be able to go to ADCC, and I really wanted to go. And I had already made up my mind. I was like, damn, I can't really afford it. And I just don't think I have the time. And then High Rollers hit me up and was like, hey, you want to come to defend your belt on this day? And I was like, oh shit, that's ADCC weekend. I was like, absolutely. So they paid for my flight and my stay.
Nice.
And so I got to go see ADCC and compete on Saturday night too, which was really cool.
That's a good weekend.
Yeah, we had a blast that weekend.
That's fun, man. So man, Elijah, if people want to get a hold of you, man, see what you're up to, see your signature triangle setup, where do they go to do that?
Just go to my Instagram. It's Jabroni Grappler.
Awesome, dude. Man, thank you. Thanks for your time, brother. You have a very interesting,
thank you guys. I had a blast.
Interesting story, dude. It's fun. It's fun to hear kind of somebody that has just this perspective, kind of like, I think you're starting to, everybody develops or kind of matures in jiu-jitsu at different times, like Chew's kind of talking about. Man, I think you're probably, as you're getting older, you're probably starting to really realize what your potential could be, man, and take advantage of it.
For sure, man. I'm really just like a degenerate kid at heart, and I feel like everybody like thinks they're gonna get to this point where they've got it all figured out, and that's the beauty of jiu-jitsu is that it's so humbling in like everything you do on and off the mat. Is that realistically you get like you always get humbled, and you're like, damn, I really don't know what I'm doing, and then it just forces you to work harder, or like put more effort in, and just until the next time somebody can humble you, and you're like, damn, I guess I don't really know what I'm doing.
Awesome.
You know?
Agreed, bro. But again, thank you so much for being on the podcast, bro, and good luck to you coming up at the trials.
Yeah, thanks, Chewy. I appreciate it.
All right, guys. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the podcast, and will you guys get something from that? Again, just listening to people share their ideas on how they're training and kind of what gets them going, and hearing different perspectives on people and how they approach things. I find it interesting. And again, a lot of times when I'm listening to people talk about different ideas, little ideas spring into my head. I don't know if you guys do this. For me, I keep a notepad in my phone. Anytime I'm listening to someone go and an idea pops up, I make sure I spear that sucker.
Jot it down.
I think it was like Earl Nightingale who said that ideas are like slippery fish. You've got to harpoon them, like you got to stick them. You know what I mean? And he was, back in the day, it was like using a pencil, but we have digital, so we can just get them down. I think it's important because, again, sometimes you write that sucker down and then you can come back to it later, and so you don't forget about it. So again, if you when you're listening to the podcast, if you do have an idea that pops up, make sure to like write it down, so it's something that you can implement later on, something that you can practice on. Again, thanks to our sponsors for helping make the podcast happen. Charlotte's Web CBD. They are one of the premier CBD companies that are out there. I mean, they make a terrific product. They're third-party tested to ensure the purity of what's in the product, to make sure that what is on the bottle is what's actually inside the product, what you're actually ingesting, which I think is important for a product that is not FDA regulated, which means they could put whatever they want to. And there have been studies where people's CBD products were not always accurate. Like 70% of them weren't. So again, it's a good idea to, if you're going to use supplements, to get supplements that have been vetted. And again, with CBD, I know there's a lot of people that say a lot of different things. I like to encourage people to figure out for yourself, try it out, see what you think, use the product, see the different effects you think it has on you, and trust your own intuition, and then kind of go from there. And again, if you want to do that, try out Charlotte's Web for a month and see what happens for it. You can try it at nighttime as sort of an aid for sleep and rest, like I do. You can use it in the morning to kind of keep you a little bit more level and to help with focus, like I know a lot of people do. And again, you can see what kind of effects it has on you. And again, if you want to save 20% by doing so, you can go to their website at charlottesweb.com, and the promo code is Jiu-Jitsu20. Also, thanks to Epic Roll. EpicRollBJJ.com is the website. If you want to check out my buddy Matt's gear that he has on there, or any of his apparel, you can do so. It's a great company. They've got good quality stuff, good looking designs, and they have great customer service. Matt puts a lot of effort into it. And again, I've done partnerships with them before to produce my jiu-jitsu gear, which again, I've had some of that gear for going close to 3 years now, and it's holding up just fine. Which again, it gives me the reassurance that I can tell you guys about his products and not feel any sort of reservations. It's good stuff. And again, if you want to check out any of this stuff, just go to his website at epicrollbjj.com. And then when you go there, if you find some shorts that you like, a rash guard, a gi, some t-shirts, whatever it might be, use promo code Jiu-Jitsu for 15% off, and save yourself money. Also, thanks to our sponsor, Manscaped. Manscaped is the best in men's grooming, from the beard down to your balls, as we used to say when we first became
B2B.
a sponsor, because when we first started using them, I didn't want to have them in as a sponsor that much, because I didn't really want to talk to you guys about me trimming my balls with a trimmer, which I'm doing that now, right? So it's fun. But I started using it, and it's a good trim. Like the trimmers that they have are good. Like I've used them. Like again, they actually have a nice dedicated beard trimmer now with like a dial, which is very handy. And then again, all the trimmers are good. All the lotions and the balms and everything else, it smells really good. And again, it comes in good packaging. So if you're looking for a gift for someone, all of their stuff comes in premium style packaging, which again makes for a good gift. It has a very good, strong, tactile feel when you're opening up, opposed to some sort of cheap cardboard box. Okay, maybe not that big of a deal, but if you're getting a gift for someone, that is a big deal. But again, if you're looking for some new trimmer, some more stuff to groom yourself as a guy, or you know someone that would appreciate something like that, they make good products. I've used everything on the website. I like it, which is why they're a sponsor. And again, if you want to check them out, you can go to their website at manscaped.com. If you want to save some money on it, Chewjitsu20 is the code, 20% off the order and free shipping at checkout. And again, if you want to support the podcast, you can do so by going to patreon.com/the Jiu-Jitsu podcast. You can get all the podcast extras that we've been producing for several years now. One of those is a warm-up routine that Eugene put together specifically for jiu-jitsu people. Again, this is a doctor of physical therapy, knows how the body works, and is giving ideas on how to make that work specifically for jiu-jitsu. It's a good idea, and it can even help you have a better understanding of, like, because there's a thing that happens when you start going down the rabbit hole of warming up, stretching, and like trying to fix things, you start to figure out your imbalances and you start to get a better idea as to what's going on. And that is sort of a kind of cascades out to where you start getting a better understanding of your body. Like right now at this point, like rewind 10 years ago, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Now, like I could tell you, oh, my piriformis is tight, I need to loosen that. Or I could even work with one of my students and they're like having trouble doing a move. I'm like, oh, here's a stretch for you.
Yeah.
Your piriformis is tight. Or man, your hip flexor is really super tight. Or this is a little loose on you, whatever. So there's different things that are going on in the body. And so again, it's a fun practice. And I consider it a practice like of, figuring out your body and working with it. And again, if you're serious about recovery and you're serious about longevity and you're serious about taking care of your body, that kind of stuff is ultra important.
It is.
Again, it's so easy to just kind of gloss over it. And then when you get injured, it's like, well, what did you expect? You're not doing anything to take care of it. So again, there's some warm-up routines and ideas on that kind of stuff inside the Patreon, along with all the actual entertainment stuff, like the interviews with the guests and stuff like that we put up, some extras that have not been released, ad-free versions of the podcast, and some videos that have never been released on any other format. So if you want to get access to that, go to patreon.com/the Jiu-Jitsu podcast. And last, guys, if you want to join my daily email, get my daily email from the Chewster, you can do so by going to my website at chewjitsu.net/join. When you join, you'll get access to the exclusive offers and things that I send out on a weekly basis to people that basically only go through the email and nothing else. You'll also get my daily emails that I send out about, training ideas, philosophical ramblings, books, things of that nature. And then you'll also get access to some free ebooks that I give away. One is on drilling strategies and how to break through jiu-jitsu plateaus. And even if you do not have control of your training, you can still implement the ideas. And then there's also one on developing a game plan. And so if you guys would like to get access to those, you can join at my website at chewjitsu.net/join. And then once you've joined, you can unsubscribe at any time you want, or you can just be one of the thousands that enjoy the emails every day. And that's that. So guys, thank you so much for joining us as always. Hopefully you enjoyed the interview, and we'll talk to you next time.